All right, everybody. Hello and welcome back to winter semester. You are all watching a video on social work research, so I really hope this is the class that you mean to take. But I am excited to have you all in it and to be able to move forward with how we used to teach research class prior to COVID. I'll explain in some of the course assignments the major assignment that we do in this course is to design and implement research studies, something that we weren't able to do during COVID and during the 7-week semesters because there just wasn't enough time and we weren't able to obviously interact with individuals in a safe manner. So I'm excited that we're able to get kind of back to our normal routine in this class. For better or for worse, some of you may be dreading the fact that you have to design and implement a research study because it's a pretty involved class. But it really is a good learning experience, and it really gives you the opportunity to not just sit and absorb content, but to be able to implement it as well. So the purpose of this video lecture is just to do a quick orientation to the course, the expectations, the structure, and the assignments. So this class will aim to give you a basic orientation to the logic, methods, and practice evaluation of generalist social work scientific research. And so, the nice thing about the research class that we teach, it aligns perfectly with our generalist perspective. So the skills that you learn in this class can be applied to research on individuals, research on groups, research on communities, research on the international sphere, because you're learning just the basic fundamentals of how to do research in an ethical and an appropriate way on human subjects. So the major component of this class is to design and implement a research study on a real life population. So I will explain that when we get to the assignments, but I just want you to be mentally prepared. Kind of how this class is going to go is the first half, so prior to spring break, is very heavy on chapter readings and lectures because I have to be able to teach you how to design and implement a study. If we spread it out over the whole semester, I'm going to be asking you to do things that you haven't necessarily learned yet. And so I'm trying to equip you with the most information as possible up front. So when we get to the second half of the semester, a lot of the classes aren't actually lecture classes. They're giving you guys space to be able to implement, collate, analyze, and output the data. And so if you just kind of think it that way, it's going to feel pretty intense at the beginning with a lot of the content stuff. But then it will taper off the second part because we're going to be then using the time and space for class to be able to do the actual research. So the objective for today's class is in this video to talk about the purpose, objectives, assignments, and expectations, and then there'll be a second part where we start to introduce some of research methodology and why we do what we do and kind of some of those components necessary to set the stage for ethical research. So if we're looking at the course description, it is going to provide logic, methods, and practice evaluation of general social work. I had that on the other slide. You're going to learn basic theory of research design and analysis and an introduction to qualitative and quantitative research methods. So if you have taken stats, which all of you should have, I know sometimes course sequencing can be a little off, but the intent was for everyone to have completed their stats or class either here at Kuiper or at Davenport, because having an understanding of the qualitative and quantitative data and research methods is kind of a foundation for stats and research, and we talk about them in both classes. And I think you'll find a little bit of overlap because at least at Kuiper we teach our stats class from a social science perspective versus more of a mathematical perspective. And so some of these concepts like mean, median, the quantitative, qualitative, all those are discussed in both because you need them for both. And then kind of the application piece, this class will help students understand how research methods can be used to problem solve and evaluate all levels of the social work practice. All right, so we are doing this course as a hybrid model. You've taken hybrid class for me, which I think most of you, if not all of you, have taken. I tend to do the first class of the week, which in this case is Monday, in seat, and then the second class of the week, which is Thursday, which will be online. And As of now, there's no deviation from that schedule. All Mondays will be in-seat, all Thursdays will be online, and online is asynchronous, which means you don't have to log on at a certain time. You'll just have the learning activities you need to complete by a certain time. So because this is a hybrid class, there's only one, this is supposed to be unexcused, but one excused or unexcused absence from the in-seat portion is allowed before it may impact your grade. So it's really important because the in-person time does allow you to ask specific questions and engage a little bit more into the face-to-face conversation that you might not have online. So it's really important to be present and to be engaged during the in-seat classes. So there is that. Yeah. The online, so this is the slide I was going to. The online module expectations. So they're all the online learning activities for the Thursday classes will be housed on Sakai. It'll be on like the tabs based on weeks. I don't tend to open them ahead of time. I might try to be a little bit more intentional about that this semester, kind of seeing how it goes, just based on that there's a lot of stuff going on this semester that if it seems appropriate and it fits with the flow of the schedule, being able to open them a little bit sooner, that way you can work ahead if needed. I can't guarantee that will happen because it is largely based on how the flow of in-seat goes. But you can expect the module to be open no later by midday on Wednesday, and then you'll have until 10 p.m. on the Thursday to complete the learning assignments unless it's otherwise noted. That is kind of the expectation that we roll with. It's similar to the classes that I taught before. So if you've had me for hybrids like individuals and families, I've taught HIPC as a hybrid. Those are some of the same kind of elements. I try to stay pretty consistent. Engagement in the online material does get counted towards the class participation and attendance grade, which is like 15% of your grade. There's that. All right, this tends to be the piece that people actually care about in the syllabus, which are the assignments for the courses. So you can see that there's 5 different categories of assignments. The first is chapter reviews. The second is the literature review, which is essentially the midterm, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. The research project and presentation, which you can see is 40% of your grade, so it's a significant chunk. Final paper, which is in place of an exam, and then the attendance and participation grade. So we're going to break these down. First one is the chapter reviews. So during the course of the semester, you will read the entire textbook. So here is our textbook, and you will need to upload and complete reviews on all of the chapters. So because there is 21 chapters in this book, I have decided to do kind of a different approach to chapter reviews because I know sometimes writing can take more, or typing if you're not as computer savvy or whatever, it might take more time than you really want to spend on it. So I'm giving you the option to either do the written chapter review, which is completing a 1 to 2 page per chapter paper that summarizes the contents of the chapter, and then kind of giving the summary of why it is important to social work. You can do this in narrative form. You can do it in bullet point, but the bullet points do have to demonstrate that you've read and understood the material. I will say this book, although, oops, that's the workbook. Sorry. This is the book. Although there are 21 chapters, the page, like a lot of the text there, it's not full huge pages. There's lots of graphics, there's a lot of engagement and interactions. And so I see the amount of chapter reviews. Sometimes there's 4 chapters due a week, and it feels a little overwhelming and intimidating even for me as a professor. But know that they are written in a way that it's not just narrative upon narrative upon narrative. So hopefully that will help. I'm going to encourage you to stay on top of these and work ahead if possible, because I know there's, I think, 1 or 2 weeks this semester, or at least in the first chunk, where there's going to be 4 chapters due in 1 week. And so just giving you advance warning that it's coming, and to prepare yourself and to work accordingly. So yes, option number 2, as I'm rambling, you're able to do a video recording of you summarizing what the chapter is. So basically, instead of typing it out, just giving me an oral presentation of the content and then talking about why it's important in the field. 3 to 5 minutes per chapter, and then uploading it to Sakai. So those are the options. You can choose to do it different every week. I don't care as long as I'm seeing that you're reading and engaging and understanding the material. I talked about all of that. Okay, literature review. So we're going to learn about what the heck a literature review is, the importance to research and how to do them. And so that's going to be incorporated into your final research study. And so this is just a chunk of it that you're going to have. I just want it needs to be done. It's like one of the first parts of research because literature is going to give you some indication of needs and possible research opportunities within a topic. And so the literature review is going to be considered your midterm. However, I'm not having it due before spring break, which is typically when midterms are due, because you have so much going on with chapter reviews and getting your proposals done. It won't be due until, I think, March 9. And it is part of your final research thing, so it does have a purpose. It's not an additional assignment. You're going to have to do it eventually. It just helps to get it done and out of the way. So this is a group project. Your group will submit one as a unit. You don't individually need to do one. It'll be 6 to 10 pages written in APA. Just note that current literature is defined as being published within the last 10 years, and you'll need a minimum of 7 resources. We will talk about this more. Chapter 4 is all about about literature reviews. We're going to be covering that within the first couple weeks. So this will hopefully make more sense then. All right, our big research project and presentation. So you all will be involved in creating, implementing, and then presenting the research project. You will learn how to do this, and then you will actually do it in a very hands-on way. And so I've identified that our target population for the research study will be college students over the age of 18. Under the age of 18, you have to get consent from a parent, and that is incredibly stressful and difficult, and given our time constraints, we are going to just be implementing this on adults. Notice how I did not specify college students from a specific college or university. We have Davenport and Kuiper students in this class, and so we'll be able to utilize our connections at both universities, as well as if being open to other ones that are down the Beltline. So I have gone ahead and split the class into 3 different groups of 4 to 5 students, and I've assigned you a topic. So the first group is Mandy, Lena, Kim, Chris, and Vale, and you will be creating a research question around mental health in college students. Group 2 is not Abby H, that's Abby B, Abby Brown, I'm sorry. Lily, Laura, and Jordan, and you'll be focusing on physical health in regards to college students. And group 3 is Isabella, Teague, Anna, Jasmine, and Grace, and you will be focusing on social media use and college students. So if you're so inclined and you want to swap topics and everyone's on the same page with it, I don't care. It was just the ones I assigned in the order. Or if you have a different topic of interest and you can find enough literature to support it, I'm cool with that too. But I wanted to give you a context of where to start. So your group will have to come up with your research question and then submit a proposal of how you're going to implement the study to what's called the Institutional Review Board. So Kuiper has an IRB comprised of faculty and then an outside source. This is just to ensure the safety because we're using human test subjects, and so an IRB keeps the integrity and safety of research. Part of the research is you'll have to complete what is called a Protecting Human Research Participants training. It's $45, but that's built into the course fee. I was able to get us a discount too, so that's great. The training, you get a certificate, and it's good, I think, for over a year. Actually, it's 4 years, so you can do other research at Kuiper if you want. The one thing about this is that it is 3.5 hours long. It's self-directed. You can take it whenever, and so I'm going to build that in as part of assignments. And probably will even say like you can opt to skip a chapter review or 2 for a week to get it done. They're working on getting me everyone's login and licensing, so it's kind of this little purgatory, trying to get it set up, and I'm a little bit frustrated, but we'll get it figured out. But that is part of the requirement. You will then implement your study after approval from the IRB, and then you will have to present it to class. And so there's a whole breakdown in the syllabus of all the requirements. You will make a nice, pretty research study, all nice and fancy. It's pretty cool.